Racism can stem from various factors, such as historical tensions, economic disparities, fear of the other, and political rhetoric. Social and cultural issues also play a role, influencing attitudes and behaviors over time. Addressing these factors is key to promoting inclusivity and understanding. The British established penal colonies in Australia starting in 1788 to relieve overcrowded prisons in Britain. Economic motives, strategic interests, and the desire to expand the British Empire also played a role. This, yes, economic motives. Britain saw Australia as a solution to overcrowded prisons and wanted to expand its empire. Establishing penal colonies allowed Britain to claim valuable territory, access new resources, and reduce the social issue of crowded prisons back home. Yes, the British also had strategic motives. Establishing a penal colony in Australia helped expand British influence in the Pacific. Got it. Overpopulation. Anything else on your mind? True. Overpopulation can exacerbate many issues like resource depletion, habitat. The early penal colony system in Australia created a social hierarchy that marginalized indigenous people. European settlers displaced native populations, leading to conflicts over land and resources. Over time, discriminatory policies and attitudes developed, persisting into modern times. Mhm. The indigenous peoples of Australia, including Aboriginal Australians and Torres Strait Islanders, are distinct ethnic groups with their own cultures, languages, and histories. They are not classified under the traditional racial categories used. In simplified terms, Aboriginal Australians and Torres Strait Islanders are often described as the first peoples or original inhabitants of Australia. They have distinct and over. Yes, Indigenous Australians have distinct physical characteristics, but it's crucial to avoid stereotypes. I mentioned the Torres Strait Islanders. They are indigenous people from the Torres Strait Islands, situated between the northern tip of Queensland, Australia, and Papua New Guinea. They have a distinct culture and heritage separate from Aboriginal Australians. Overpopulation, glad you're back. How's your morning going? We were discussing the indigenous peoples of Australia, focusing on Aboriginal Australians and Torres Strait Islanders. They're distinct groups with rich cultural. Indigenous Australians have a range of skin tones, often described as dark to light brown. Their skin color varies significantly across different regions and communities. Indigenous Australian skin tones can range from deep brown to lighter shades depending on the specific group and region. Yes, Indigenous Australians generally have darker skin tones, which can range from medium to deep brown. This variation is Yes, Australia is close to Papua New Guinea, and the first indigenous Australians are believed to have arrived over 65,000 years ago. They likely migrated from Africa, moving through Asia and then across land bridges and narrow sea crossings that existed during the Ice Age, reaching Australia. It's fa- the migration The migration of early humans from Africa is a complex story. It's widely believed that Homo sapiens originated in Africa and then migrated outwards. How the migration and evolution of early hominids is a complex process. Right, primates encompass a broad group of mammals. Primates are believed to have originated in Africa. The earliest primate-like mammals appeared around 50. Primates are an order that includes all apes, so by definition, apes are primates. Before primates, there were earlier forms of mammals, but they were not classified as apes. Yes, there's evidence that early primates first evolved in Asia before spreading to other parts of the world. Fossil discoveries in Asia suggest it could be a significant cradle for early primate evolution. Yes, the theory suggests that early primates originated in Asia and then dispersed, with some migrating toward Africa, evolving eventually into various species, including those of the Homo genus. While there isn't direct evidence that early primates traveled from Asia to Australia, it's believed that the ancestors of modern primates spread across various continents from early points of origin. Australia's unique fauna is more a result of its long geographical isolation. During the Ice Age, lower sea levels created land bridges and narrow straits connecting parts of Southeast Asia to the landmass known as Sahul, which included present-day Australia and New Guinea. This allowed early human migration to Australia, but there's no evidence of apes migrating this route. These bridges facilitated Southeast Asia has a very diverse population. Yes, and within Southeast Asia, there's a diverse range of indigenous peoples with varying skin tones and features. Indonesia, for example, has numerous ethnic groups, including Papuans and Melanesians, who in Southeast Asia, there's significant diversity, including groups with dark skin tones, like the Negrito peoples in the Philippines, Malaysia, and the Andaman Islands. They are distinct ethnic. You're likely referring to the Sentinelese people of North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Islands, which are part of India, not far from Indonesia. They are one of the most isolated peoples in the world and have rejected contact with outsiders. Correct. There are indigenous groups with darker skin tones in South and Southeast Asia, notably the Negrito peoples, living in parts of the Philippines, Malaysia, and the Andaman Islands. However, as you move further north towards places like Hong Kong, you'll find fewer such indigenous groups. The Andaman Islands, located in central India in the Bay of Bengal, are part of India. Mhm. The history of human migration, colonization, and the formation of societies is complex. Critical race theory explores these dynamics, analyzing law and power structures in the context of race and society. Colonization The history of colonization, exploitation, and the transatlantic slave trade is complex and rooted in various factors. The narrative of history is complex, involving many factors beyond simple overpopulation. Geographic, environmental, technological, and social factors all played roles in the expansion of different civilizations. Access to resources, innovations in agriculture, and technological advancements enabled certain groups to expand. It's interesting how you trace the development of technology and population growth through various stages of human history. The evolution of societies, technologies like gunpowder, and their impact on global dynamics show the complex interplay between different factors in shaping history. It's fascinating to think about how the transition from hunter-gatherer societies to agricultural-based ones impacted human populations. What are your thoughts on how this shift shaped our world? I'm talking about the shift from hunter-gatherer to agricultural societies. It's a major change in human. Well, the end of the last ice age, about 11,700 years. It sounds like you're tying together some big ideas about how cosmic cycles and interconnectedness might influence life and events on Earth. It's a profound way to think about the universe and our place in it. What's got it? Yeah, it's like layers upon layers. Each The idea of overpopulation influencing human history is complex. However, the scientific consensus on human evolution doesn't support the direct progression of distinct racial groups from one another. Human evolution is more about a branching tree, with all modern humans sharing a common ancestor. The out of Africa theory is the most widely supported model for the spread of Homo sapiens. It suggests that modern humans originated in Africa and then dispersed to other continents, including Asian and Europe. This migration and subsequent adaptation to different environments led to the diverse populations we see today. Apes, including human ancestors, originated in Africa. The current scientific evidence supports the theory that the earliest ancestors of great apes and humans originated in Africa. Fossil evidence and genetic studies have shown that hominids, including apes, there are theories suggesting that early hominids, including some species of apes, could have had evolutionary developments in different regions, including parts of Asia. However, the bulk of fossil evidence points to Africa as the cradle of early human evolution. It's not about assigning blame to one group. Overpopulation is a complex issue influenced by various factors like cultural practices, economic development, and technological advancement. I, I see where you're coming from with the progression you're describing. You're hypothesizing a progression of racial dominance based on conquest and expansion throughout history. It's a complex view and touches on sensitive subjects like race and power dynamics. But looking at history, it's clear that a variety of factors, not just racial lineage, influence progression refers to the process of developing or moving forward. It's often used to describe positive changes or advancements in various contexts, such as evolution is a more neutral term. I see what you mean. I understand your concern. A term like development might feel more neutral. Emphasis transformation also captures the idea of change over time without implying a value judgment. Yeah, transform gives a more neutral tone to the idea of change over time. It's like how species adapt and evolve, but without the baggage of suggesting one form is inherently better than another. Hey again, overpopulation. What's up? Mm-hmm. Sure. Uh, you're touching on complex historical dynamics. There's no easy answer, but many factors play into historical actions and some. Yeah, I get it. You're saying the fear comes from a sense of historical responsibility or guilt, which could apply to any group that found themselves in a similar historical position. Exactly. Different. Yep. Universal could be a good fit. It implies something that's broadly applicable or relevant across different contexts. Mm. Like facing your past self as the villain in your own story. That's deep. Confronting your old selves and the choices you made can be unsettling. It's like grappling with your own legacy, good and bad. You, it'd be a showdown, right? Your good past self might be shocked or disappointed, while your future self might try to justify their actions. It's a moral clash, a question of identity. Yeah, go ahead. That's the tricky part. Both could have valid points from their perspectives. The right one might depend on the journey and growth you value more. Right. Like the fear that history could be twisted or weaponized against them, fueling blame and division. Absolutely. Lies can erode trust and bring down even the mightiest. In the end, transparency and truth are stronger foundations. I'm going to stop you right there. Predicting the downfall of any race or group is not only inaccurate but also harmful. The future is made by choices, not set in stone by anyone's race. Demographics are changing for sure, but it's about diversity, not dominance. A diverse society is a strength, bringing together different perspectives and experiences. It's less about one group fading and more about everyone contributing to the collective future. The phrase, the future is brown, can imply a diminishing of other groups, which might not be the intention. It's more constructive to focus on inclusivity and the richness that diverse backgrounds bring to our shared future. A term like the future is diverse captures the essence well. It emphasizes the value of many cultures and backgrounds contributing to our collective future without marginalizing anyone. What I'm saying is that the focus should be on the rich mix of cultures and perspectives rather than the dominance of any group. The Exactly. The demographic shifts might be gradual, but the key is how power and influence are shared. The future could see more equitable representation across. Demographic trends suggest that the percentage of white individuals in the population may decrease in some countries due to various factors, including lower birth rates and increased diversity. Globally, the proportion of white individuals in the world population is projected to decrease over time, mainly due to higher birth rates in other demographic groups. This shift reflects broader demographic trends and isn't about one group decreasing in value or significance. Historically, demographic composition has fluctuated significantly due to factors like migration, birth rates, disease, and conflict. Historically, global racial demographics have varied significantly. However, the proportions have not always been equal due to factors like migration, colonization, and differing birth rates across regions. His- Historically, demographic distributions have varied widely depending on the era and region. For most of history, accurate demographic data is scarce. Modern demographic tracking only began in the last few centuries. If you're looking for a broad view, the proportions of racial groups have shifted over time due to factors like migration, colonization, and birth rates. The ancient Egyptians didn't migrate en masse to Asia. However, Egypt's influence extended into parts of Asia due to trade and military campaigns, particularly in the Near East. Yes, modern humans originated in Africa and then migrated to other parts of the world, including the migration of modern humans out of Africa, known as the out of Africa theory, began around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago. This migration spread humans to Asia, Europe, and beyond over thousands of years. Humans began migrating from Asia to other parts of the world, including Europe and Australia, around 50,000 to 40,000 years ago. This was a gradual process over thousands of years. No, sorry, to clarify, around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, humans began migrating out of Africa. It wasn't directly from Egypt, but from various parts of the African continent. Then, over thousands of years, they gradually moved into Asia and other regions. The migration likely began in East Africa, particularly in regions that are now part of countries like Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania. As they migrated out of Africa, groups moved through the northeastern part of the continent, including areas near present-day Egypt, before spreading into Asia. Exactly. The migration began in areas like East Africa, which is south of Egypt. From there, humans gradually migrated northward and out of the African continent,